Good afternoon. Happy lunch break. This is Basement Politics. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Let's talk about last night's redistricting meeting.
Ready to win.
Good afternoon, Yonkers. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. On this lunch break, news break, I want to talk about the redistricting meeting that took place last night, the special meeting. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Did you guys watch last night's redistricting meeting? Blatant corruption. Blatant corruption. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I started to watch last night's meeting. I didn't get to watch it yesterday, but I wanted to go over it. So I wanted to play some of it here and discuss. It was very interesting. And this is all about the redistricting, right? They're changing up the districts, obviously, right? They're chopping up Yonkers all over again, drawing up new lines. And ultimately, what this affects is the elections. And that's what they seem to be most concerned about. Not so much how the residents of the city would be affected, but how it would impact elections. Petitions are going to be starting soon. And when I say soon, I mean February, March. Petition season is when candidates who are looking to be on the ballot, people who are looking to be candidates on the ballot, go out and get signatures. And depending on the office that they're looking to run, they have to get a certain number of signatures. And so they're going to hit the pavement and they're going to be sending out their people. The mayor already announced his campaign kickoff fundraiser. So he's basically announcing it. But some saying, why didn't he make an official announcement? And they say he didn't because he knows that majority of the people of the city of Yonkers do not want to see Mike Spano for a fourth term, regardless of what reason. It's not necessarily just because they don't like him, but many just feel enough, 12 years, that's enough. And they didn't like the way that the term limits were extended. The residents, the voters were left out. And so that left a salty taste in people's mouth. And he didn't want to announce it, in my opinion, and in the opinion of others, because it wouldn't be received well. So it was kind of a low-key announcement just to my supporters. Hey, I'm having a kickoff campaign fundraiser. The mayor just had a fundraiser not too long ago. The fundraiser that I mentioned, where that was held by Hakeem Jamal, former employee of the city of Yonkers, the DUI guy, as well as Jamal Ibrahim, a gentleman that was arrested by the Yonkers police with possession of 100 grams of cocaine, a charge that has since disappeared. And Mr. Ibrahim has gotten a job recently with the city of Yonkers. Interesting. But I want to go over this redistricting because you can see now the tension. You know who's on what side. It's become, the city council president, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, the majority leader, Tasha Diaz, John Rubo, councilman of District 4, and Mike Breen, the councilman of District 5, versus Moranti of District 6, Corazon, a Democrat. Moranti's a Republican. Corazon's a Democrat. Corazon of District 2, and Shanae Williams of District 1. Corazon, the first one to ask this question, asked in a very important question. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the meeting and the questioning that were asked after. A gentleman by the name of Andrew Beveridge, not spelled like beverage, but Beveridge. He was brought in as one of the consultants. In fact, there were 3 consultants, right? They're technically supposed to have 3 individuals, 3 people, 3 companies that put out these bids. He was one of the 3. Then it dwindled down to 2. Apparently, apparently they selected one of the 2, the one that wasn't there, but that person dropped out at the last minute, leaving Mr. Andrew Beveridge to be the consultant that ultimately will be the guy to do the redistricting or help out with the redistricting. Has an extensive history, track record, and experience. He does. I looked him up. He was trained at Yale. He, went to CUNY schools. He teaches at College of Queens or Queens College. He also taught at Columbia University. He has a PhD in sociology. He specializes in demographics, and he's been involved in a lot of cases and discrimination cases. He's been mostly hired by anti-discrimination organizations. And so I found that to be a bit out of the ordinary for what the city of Yonkers would want to hire, right? But then I started to understand why they would look to a guy like him, right? Why would they look to basically a Michael Sussman type of guy in redistricting? Why? Usually a guy like that would be against the city. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So I want to set it off real quick and show the beginning of the meeting here and let the guy, Andrew Beveridge, speak for a bit. Won't play the entire meeting, just some of it. The gentleman there sitting next to him is from Harris Beach. Harris Beach, again, is involved in this redistricting. Harris Beach is also representing the mayor in the lawsuit against him filed by Mike Cater. And Harris Beach has represented many individuals when in regards to political matters. And so it's a conflict of interest, I think. Tom Meyer. There's no sound in that video? You're not getting any sound? I don't know why I should have sound. Not getting sound? Let me try the video again. Let me know if you're getting sound. You should be.
I mean, everything has been done quite at the last minute. In fact, just as I was leaving my apartment, I got data from the Board of Election that might mean that there's some slight things wrong with what I just sent, because I had to create my map that's in here by, in effect, looking at the various city maps and trying to make sure, or doing the best I could to.
Thank you. That's Andrew Beveridge. Again, that's the guy that's they're looking to hire. I mean, they obviously want this guy. You'll see by the comments that they make. Let me play the. I want to go to the first question. It's by Corazon. So basically, he's saying that he talked about his history, what he's done. He's been on cases. They brought him into court to to testify based on his expertise and all this other stuff. And so the first question goes to Corazon, Pineda Isaac. who is against the term extension.
Councilwoman Pineda Isaac, we'll begin with you.
Thank you, Madam Council President. I'm sorry, what is your last name? What is your last name? Beverage, Mr. Beverage.
It's pronounced like drink, but it's not spelled like drink.
Okay. What is, on average, the timeline to, complete redistricting?
That really varies with respect to.
Oh, geez. That's an important question. She asked what's the timeline with respect to the city council or to this redistricting thing. I'm going to just play for my phone. I don't know why on Facebook, on my computer, I have such a hard time getting the videos to play. They take forever to load. But I want you to hear this question. It's very important. She asked the timeline, and I know that was very strategic in why she was asking, because she wants to prove that this is all political, right? And they want to rush this through in order for their advantage, and also because it has to do with these developments and them wanting to move, or build buildings over on the east side. And this is what I'm going to talk to you folks about. And I said, you got to watch out what's going to be happening here. And I've mentioned this, right? They're coming on the east side. John Rubel's there. I'm trying to find it. I don't know why this doesn't play here. Unreal. I just had it playing. I don't know. I'm trying to get this play because it's an important question here. I guess that meeting.
Or you can find it on the top right.
I don't know. I'm having problems here with this video. Why are they not playing? Anyway, folks, I wanted to play the video, but I'm going to have to come back and do this because I got to play the videos. I don't know why they're not playing now. So I'll be back on later, I think, because I have to get up out of here soon. I can't play toy with it. But I want to go over, so join me later. I want to go over these meetings because they're very important. I want to talk about the redistricting that's going to be happening, why they are redistricting these, the city here and the way they're doing it. And recent complaint from James Nolan, county legislator James Nolan, who represents District 15 on the county level, was upset because of the way his district was going to be redistricted. And even on the east side, right, District 4 on the council side, and how that was going to be redistricted, as well as the county. And so they're trying to make it more of a democratic, right? John Nolan's a Republican. They're trying to make it more democratic. Areas that have been kind of known to be more Republican or lean more Republican, they're wanting to make those more democratic. District 6. And there's a reason why they want to do that. And I'll talk about that. I'll get back on. I'll have these videos recorded and put out. I don't know why Facebook never works on my internet here. I don't know why. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. I got to get up out of here because I got to do my Feed the Need program. Yeah, that's right. I do still do that. I don't talk about it every day and every week that I do it, but I do it, right? And so I'm going to meet up with students who help me with the program. They, fix the lunches up for me. I go and pick them up from Roosevelt, and then we go and meet up at Getty Square, and we walk together and we hand them out. So it's something that I do, and I'm also doing the toy drive, the Christmas gift donation drive, where I'm receiving gifts. Shout out to the individuals that stopped by today and dropped some donations off, some toys off at my office. And so I'm going to go out on Friday, and I'm going to go and hand those out to kids, in certain communities here in the city of Yonkers. I started it last year as my second annual, I guess. I do, real quick, since I can't get the videos, I want to go over these. I like going over the comments on the Tribune, right? And so I'll do that real quick, not to waste time. And this is the lawsuit that I spoke about that's on the Yonkers Tribune in regards the firemen, the fire union suing the city. And this case started back in 2015, but it's coming to some resolution now, 2022. And it looks like the city will have to cough up, or taxpayers will have to cough up over $5 million to pay disabled firemen who were on disabilities and who were not receiving some compensation and stuff. So they're going to pay, over $5 million. Now the city of Yonkers is upset about this, but they always talk about how much they love our firemen. We love our first responders, but Now you didn't want to pay them. They had to go to court to get this money, right? And so again, that started back in 2015. Now it's coming to an end. But the comments on here, again, they're always interesting to me. Spano and his cohorts have never won arbitration against Local 628. Maybe they have the wrong law firm. And so recently I had someone reach out to me anonymously and say, hey, why you never talk about Barry McGooey? And I believe he was the president of the firefighters union, right? And I don't know, because he's not around now. He's not impacting the people negatively, right? So there's nothing to really say about him. Cuomo's law firm, I guess, not Spano Cash, so pay up Yonkers taxpayer, exactly. So again, and I've asked this question, how many people are going to be willing to vote for Mayor Spano again for a fourth time, knowing that he has several lawsuits that could, cost the taxpayers of the city of Yonkers millions of dollars? Millions, and I'm not just talking about the term limit extension lawsuits, which that's one. There's going to be another one of those coming, I hear. There's also the Mike Cater lawsuits, and there are going to be other lawsuits coming on, for other personal reasons. And so I'm sure there are going to be some of those lawsuits that he will lose. And who ultimately will pay? The taxpayers. So do we want to lose that money? We got to also consider that, really. And again, Mike Spano's not the one that started this development. He didn't. This was not his plan nor his idea. This goes back to Zaleski, Phil Amacone even. And Phil Amacone actually got it kicked off. Phil Amacone wanted to run for a third term, but the Spano machine and the Spano power assured that he would not do exactly what Spano has done in changing the term limits. But once Spano got in, it was all good for them to do so. And they did it 4 years ago, creating 3 terms. Now they've done it again recently in November to make 4 terms because he says we must continue the progress that we started. But he didn't start it. He didn't start it. He just took over an idea that was already there. And what he did is he changed up the developers. Instead of the developers that were going to build here, and some of them already had and started, right, and they finished, but he got his new developers that had relationships with Empire Strategic Planning, the lobbying firm owned by his brother, Nick Spano, former senator of the state of New York. And so they used those developers because they were paying to play, right? And so by hiring Nick Spano's consulting firms, they got in there and became the new developers of these ideas that were supposed to happen. And some of them changed, right? Like the Chicken Island ballpark that we were supposed to get. That was coming from the Amacone administration. And there were already developers that were going to go and develop that. But then Spano came in and things changed. He brought in new developers like AMS. And they started to buy up the properties here in the city of Yonkers City Property. They then took over Chicken Island with the help of John Rubo, according to sources, who chairs the real estate committee, who's also a tenant of AMS over at the Trolley Barn. So there's that whole issue that people had with that, right? And John Rubo chairing that, but that was okay by the Yonkers Board of Ethics. And so now the Spanos have their plan. They have their developers in place. They are the ones that are making the money and stand to make even more money, which is why they don't want to give up that control. So it's not about continuing what they started because they did not start it. They just kind of picked off where it was left off, and then, leveraged it to be more for their advantage to make money. And then they want to continue that. So if they didn't start it, wasn't their idea, they're simply here to make money, then we should be able to get someone else in there who can pick up just like they did, and hopefully pick up in a way that more, addresses the needs of all the people of City Yonkers, and it's not just pushing people out. Remember, folks, developments do not equate to economic stimulation, right? Economic progress. So people are saying, well, Freddie, because even people that don't want to see Mike Spano win a 4th term, they don't like Spano. They still feel like we got to have these developments, right, Freddie? But we got to have the developments, right? We got to create, we got to stimulate the economy, and it's good for our economy here in Yonkers. But is it really? Is it really? And you can't just equate developments with economic progress. That's not, they don't go hand in hand, right? They're not mutually, exclusive, or if I'm saying that right. You can have economic progress without developments. It's just about the idea of how you go about that economic progress. And the problem with the developments is that they're getting tax breaks, these developers, and the sole purpose of those tax breaks is to foster economic growth by providing and retaining jobs for the local, residents, right? The residents of the area that the IDA covers, the Yonkers IDA, which is Yonkers, right? But you can also, I guess, do Westchester County as well, but they're not doing that. They're not hiring people from Yonkers or even Westchester County. They're going out to Rochester, Connecticut, Jersey. And so these individuals are coming in, they're getting the money to work on these developments, and then they're taking that money out. And it's the same principle with the city employees. When on average you have city residents making $35,000 a year, but on average you have city employees making $179,000, and that's what I got from an internet site that does these average salaries for city governments, right? That says that city employees on average don't live in the city of Yonkers. And why is that bad? That hurts economic progress. That stagnates economic progress because you have individuals coming here making good money, taxpayer money at that. It's not like this is money that people paid, there is a private for-profit business. No, this is taxpayer money that they're getting paid on their salaries, their average $179,000 a year salary, and then they're taking that out of Yonkers. So that's hurting our overall economy. So when we talk about fostering economic growth and economic progress here in the city of Yonkers, we have to factor that in. We have to factor in the fact that there's a lot of taxpayer money being paid to city employees who are taking it out of Yonkers. They're not buying houses here. They're not paying property taxes here. And they're not paying a lot of things here, right? So that hurts the city because that money's gone and it doesn't come back, right? So that's a huge problem. And then again, with the developments where local workers are not getting the jobs there. So they're not making the money. They're not being employed. So how are you fostering economic growth? By simply developing buildings and not giving the jobs to the local residents. And then when you give jobs, city jobs, which are pretty good paying jobs, to a few people that do not live in the city of Yonkers, you create an income inequality that we see here, right? And it's primarily affected people who live on the Southwest and Northwest side, South sides, predominantly Black and Hispanics. And so they remain impoverished because there is no other real industry here. You either work for the city or you start a business, but where else are you really going to make over $150,000 a year if it's not one of the two? They're not giving jobs on the developments. The city Yonkers residents are not the developers. So you see, the money is not going to people from Yonkers. It's, in a sense, it's not going into the economy here in the city of Yonkers. Maybe when these guys go on lunch break, maybe they don't bring their own lunches, right? But how is money really coming in due to these developments? They're also getting tax breaks. So they're shorting the city on property taxes. That's millions and millions of dollars that the city is losing on top of that. They're also adding more strain on resources here in the city of Yonkers, right? More strain on first responders, water, garbage collection, sewage, which is a problem at the sewage plant, right? These 100-year-old and 100-plus-year-old pipes. They're basically putting skeletons over these old buildings and stuff. What up, brother? What's going on, Romero? So that's important. So when people talk about economic growth and Freddie, we need the developments. No, we don't need the developments. Not that I'm saying we shouldn't have developments, but how are we developing? That's what's key, right? Really, we should be bringing in industries, jobs for people. That's how we foster economic growth, improve the quality of our education. That's how we foster economic growth and try to retain individuals here in Yonkers rather than seeing them leave. Even if they start a business, they go and buy a house outside of Yonkers, right? Or they get a city job and they got, $100,000 a year salary, $100,000 plus year salary, plus, good benefits and pensions. Then they're leaving Yonkers, right? That's hurting Yonkers ultimately, right? It's just a place where people are coming to work. And if they put the MGM Grand, that's all it's going to be. A place where people just come to work from all over at MGM Grand Casino, and then they leave. And how much are we going to get from that casino? And if we don't get a new mayor in there, we're going to get shafted. because the mayor's brother, Mike Spano's brother, Nick Spano, represents MGM Casino. And so they are going to be working for their best interest. And so they're going to try to keep whatever payout they have to pay to education or the city of Yonkers, where the MGM people will be happy, not so much the people of Yonkers. And that, to me, is a huge conflict in interest, a problem, and more than enough reason why we need to elect someone new next year. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'll be back on to talk about the meeting yesterday. I'm sorry about the video. I couldn't get it playing, but I'll be back on later to discuss that. The redistricting meeting. Why is that important? Who is Andrew Beveridge? Why was he hired? What happened to the other consultants? Why is Corazon Pineda Isaac's question about the time frame of this redistricting important? What did Tasha Diaz had to say? Unbelievable comments she made. And Mike Breen, as well as Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'll be back on. And folks, did you guys see the video really quick that someone went and got of some guy? They hired this guy and they said that I sell bad heroin here in the city of Yonkers. Bad heroin, right. Yeah, like this is unbelievable. This is truly unbelievable. These guys will go to this extreme to try and make me look bad. Like they would like get this poor guy who obviously is in bad shape, needs help. They probably gave him a few bucks to say this, to go on video and say that I sell bad heroin. Desperation. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'll be back on later. I got to go and do my Feed the Need program and do shit for the community. Positive shit. Nobody's paying me. We pay for this out of our own pocket, so I'm spending my money. The officials know this. Feeding Westchester knows this, and they're yet to come and support the movement. Why? You don't care about the homeless? No, they don't. You know why? Because the homeless don't vote. So the elected officials will never care about the homeless because they don't vote.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. Make sure you join me later on where we redistricting of the city of Yonkers. And why is that important? Let's go over what was said by our elected officials, where they make it obvious, well, some of them do, who they work for, who they represent. Tasha Diaz, it's been 18 months yet to see an affordable housing ordinance. And Tasha Diaz, you had the opportunity to make sure it got passed when you voted no to override the mayor's veto, essentially saying, I'm going to do whatever the mayor wants. That's who I work for. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Join me later on. We'll discuss the redistricting and why is that important. And Nolan, you're right. They're coming for your district, Nolan. They're trying to change it up because they want it to be a Democratic district. They want Democrats there, not you, not Republicans, because they want to start moving a bunch of buildings over to the east side. You ready, folks on the east side? John Rubel, your boy, is doing it to you guys. Moving them up to the east side. I'm up out of here. Peace out.